at 6 p.m. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are on Treaty 1 territory and that the land in which we are meeting is the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. As a council and municipality, we will continue to work on moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. I'd like a motion to, I'm just going to make a point here that we have a new system in here of sound and camera. If you find yourself it's sounding a little bit different, might take a little getting used to, I think. Anyway, need a motion to the adoption of the minutes, please.
Resolve that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held at City Hall on January 23rd, 2023 be adopted as circulated.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that's carried. We have one delegation, not in-house, but from Roquette on the proposed utility rate increase. They did provide a letter regarding the rate increase, and I'm just assuming that council has had a chance to read that. Everyone? Excellent. Okay, we have no public hearings tonight, so we'll move into Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Massey.
I have no report at this time, Your Worship.
Thank you. City Planning and Economic Development Committee. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. City Planning Economic Development Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. Community Services Committee. Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Community Services Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. Waterworks Committee. Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Waterworks Committee has nothing to report.
Transportation Committee. Councillor Porter.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. The Transportation has nothing to report in this portion of the meeting, but I'll have something further down in new business.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee. Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Public Safety Committee has nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. We have no deferred business, so we'll move right into new business, which is the 2022 November financial statements, and this is Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. In your package, you have for your information the financial statements for November 2022, November 30th, 2022, laid out. It's for your information. If you have any questions, we can attempt to answer them, but they're for your information at this point.
Thank you. Any questions of those? Thank you, Councillor Massey.
Good.
We have new business, first reading of Utility Rates Bylaw 22-8748. Again, Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue here is to provide first reading for amending Bylaw 22-8748 in support of the city's application to the Public Utilities Board to amend Utility Rate Bylaw 20-8710. In 2022, the Way to Go Consulting was hired to complete a review of our current utility rates. Due to significant increase in the cost of processed chemicals, which we did talk about at previous council, the utility has seen over the past 2 years, as well as expenses associated with the construction and ongoing operating and maintenance costs of the new Poplar Bluff Reservoir. It was determined based on this review that an increase in rates would be necessary for the utility to be able to meet the funding targets established in the 2020 utility rate study. Bylaw 22-8748 proposes an increase of 8.7% to water rates and 0.6% to wastewater rates previously approved by the Public Utilities Board, effective July 1, 2023. And as you can see, the table below shows the impact that this increase would have on the quarterly utility bill for a household using 40 cubic meters of water. And I won't read them all there, but you can see what was approved and what this recent bylaw would increase the proposed rates. Administration is also proposing a change to the bulk water rates to correct a typographical error listing the rates as per cubic meter instead of per 1,000 gallons. Additionally, the rates set for January 1, 2024 and 2025 are not compatible with the city's dispenser, which operates in units of 250 gallons and pricing increments of 0.25. The bulk water rates proposed in the bylaw are, and there you again, I won't read them all, you can see the changes. With council's approval of bylaw 228748, a request to review and vary existing water and wastewater rates will be submitted to the Public Utilities Board, and subject to their approval, the city may then proceed with second and third readings of the bylaw. So, council, what we're dealing with this evening is the recommendation from administration is that bylaw number 228748, being a bylaw of the City of Portage la Prairie to amend utility rate bylaw 20-8710, be given first reading. And I'll move that, Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor Massey, second by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments from anyone?
This time, Your Worship.
I just have a question about the letter provided by Roquette and a little bit of process maybe, so that we sort of understand how that's happening and where we're at and everything maybe?
Thank you, Your Worship, for the question, and we thank Roquette for providing their feedbacks. Roquette and a lot of our larger industries were notified that we were going to start the first reading of this process by letter, and we actually provided some estimates of what the impact would be on their business in terms of costs. I can appreciate from a business perspective, it's always startling when you receive that letter and you automatically assume, well, this is a done deal, this is how it's going to end up. And I want to stress, and I will communicate that to Roquette as well in my response to the letter, is that this is very much the start of the process. So we have to determine what our costs are. And again, these costs are being driven by two major factors. Seeing chemical costs roughly double, as we've seen on our tenders that we've approved at this table. And the second thing is that we didn't know when we put our original rate study was that we would receive funding and complete construction of the Poplar Bluff Reservoir, of which this municipality is contributing up to $5 million on and taking on the operational costs of. Those costs need to be absorbed. We can't run a deficit as a utility. We have to make sure that we are at least putting away the right amount of money for the future and operating in an effective way. So those two things are the primary driver of those costs. We will submit this application now to the Public Utilities Board. The Public Utilities Board will review our application. They will ask questions to make sure that we are charging the right things for the right reasons. And then they will start the process where we post and ask for feedback from major stakeholders, and Roquette will be one of those stakeholders. They will be informed and get the opportunity to provide feedback. Pub takes that into consideration, and they decide if they need to have a formal public hearing. So they'll hear that concern. We'll share those concerns with the city, but if there's multiple concerns, there may be the need for a public hearing in which the board will actually come and hear more stakeholders and more feedback on this. And then finally, they will go forward and make a recommendation. From that recommendation, council will have a second and third reading, will be approved, and then those rates, whatever they are, if they're approved, will come into effect. So when you get that letter, I feel that often they feel like this is going to be the result no matter what. It's just the beginning of the consultation process, and I really want to stress that for council. We have to get this on the table before we can really get into the nuts and bolts about moving forward. Your Worship.
Thank you. Yeah, so I would just say that I think we can trust that administration and some of our senior management will be talking to our industries throughout this process so they know what's happening. Yeah. Excellent. If nothing else, all those in favor? And that's carried. So like we said, the second and third reading dates to be announced. Thank you. New business. We have a first reading of Council Indemnity Bylaw 23-8749. This is Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Massey again.
Thank you, Your Worship. You have in your package the issue of approved bylaw 23-8749 and rescind Council Indemnity Bylaw 21-8730. And the background is this, for this is very important. The Council Indemnity Bylaw sets out the provisions for benefits and salaries of us, members of Council. Every 5 years, administration conducts a review of Council financial indemnity levels with peer communities to ensure that compensation levels do not fall behind other comparable municipalities. It should be noted the last review was done in 2018 when Council deferred any peer community market increases but did change compensation levels to adjust for the tax code changes. This was the 1/3 tax-free that was eliminated by the federal government, and Council agreed to just return what was paid previously by council. In late 2022, the administration began their review of regional municipalities and similar cities in Manitoba and prepared a report for the newly elected council. I want to thank administration for gathering this information and data. Comparing overall compensation can be difficult as each community has a different model set by their own bylaw. The following municipalities were selected as comparators due to similar compensation structures that do not provide additional hourly rates beyond base compensation. Although the rural municipality of Portage la Prairie has a different compensation model that goes beyond base compensation with an hourly rate of $26.94 for all council-related duties, it was added as a regional comparator using their 2019 base salary rates. In the chart before you, you can see the comparison that was done and where the city of Portage la Prairie is at the moment. I won't go through all those numbers, but it was clear that we had started to fall below some of our other cities and below the rural municipality of Portage. Based on this review, it is recommended that council compensation be amended by approving bylaw 238749, which includes the following: increasing the mayor's 2023 base compensation from $48,583.86 to $55,109.32. Increasing the deputy mayor's 2023 base compensation from $22,357.66 to $25,440. Increasing councillors' base compensation from $19,052.54 to $22,680. Increasing the full day per diem more than 4 hours from $150 per day to $230 per day for duties outside of normal council responsibilities and outside of the municipality's boundaries. Introducing a half-day per diem rate less than 4 hours of $115 for duties outside normal council responsibilities and outside the municipality's boundaries. And allowing for council to be eligible to claim per diems for training related to council duties within the municipality's boundaries. Tonight, council, we are looking at just first reading of this bylaw, and therefore administration's recommendation, and I would move that bylaw 238749, being a bylaw for the payment of indemnities to members of council, be given first reading. I'd so move that, Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments? Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship. Obviously, when we get into these things, sometimes it can be a bit of a contentious issue, and I just want to kind of make my position clear for council. I've actually received a council indemnity, a municipal indemnity for, this will be going on my 17th year. And periodically through the boards that I've sat on, this has come up. And I just, for the record, up until this point in time, I've always voted against it. That's where I stood with it. And I wanted to be clear that I didn't vote against for it because I disagreed with the actual indemnity. I disagreed with the process. I never felt that it was right or fair that we actually create our own process and then vote on our own things. So that's not an issue here. I wanted to be clear on that. And for the first time, this is something I will support because I do believe that it is fair and reasonable compensation for the amount of work, the amount of effort, and more importantly, the amount of responsibility that each council member around this table has. Puts us in parity with other municipalities, and we work closely with the REM, and it puts a parity into that. So for that reason, I would be supporting this all the way along the board, and I just wanted council to be aware of where my position was. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer. Anyone else? Councillor Espy?
Well, Councillor Meyer said it all, and I would like to echo all of his statements, but again, I've been on this council. This is year 13, and this is a change that's been coming for a while, but not just because it's fair compensation for us, but I think it sets us up for future councils as well, that we will get all the best candidates, and yeah, it's something that was needed.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Councillor Massey?
Thank you, Your Worship, and is the chair that brought this forward to council, and I just wanted to add a few comments that was, not part of the report that I think are worth highlighting. It's been 15 years since this was last done in the city of Portage, and I think all of us, none of us around this table do this for money. We do it for the love of our community, and I've talked to each one of you, and I know that for a fact. But we've got to look at future councils and the compensation rate. But the other thing, as finance chair, I'm really proud. These dollars that we're allocating here, we don't anticipate a real need to adjust our financial plan, which was a good budget of 1.96% when inflation is running at 7 and 8%. So we don't anticipate a problem accommodating these dollars. And as Councillors Meyer and Espy said, I think it's been needed. And as Chair of Finance, I feel very comfortable within our existing financial plan that this can be accommodated. So I'm very pleased that we were able to find the dollars for this, for our council.
Thank you. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, new business again, 2023 Centennial Cup sponsorship, Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Massey, it feels like you do a lot at these meetings.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. I hope I'm meeting your expectations. This one I'm pleased to bring forward. The issue, as we all know, is Portage la Prairie will be hosting the Centennial Cup this year. And so the issue here is to support a sponsorship request from the committee to support their event being held in Portage from May 11th to 21st, 2023. And the analysis, of course, is in your package, but Portage la Prairie has been selected by Hockey Canada to host the 2023 Centennial Cup. And this, as we all know, this has the potential to showcase our community, local businesses, and facilities to a national audience. And the last time that the Cup tournament took place in Portage, for those of you who may remember, was 2015, which we all know the Terriers won, and I think they're going to do it again. So that's well worth this. It won't be me skating out there though. The tournament was set up to take place in Portage again in 2020, but as you know, it was canceled due to COVID. We are recommending the sponsorship of $20,000, which would include diamond level sponsor status as well as volunteer sponsor status. And we need a resolution of council because we are going to access some reserve funds for this. And so the administrative recommendation is, and I move that the council of the city of Portage la Prairie approve the withdrawal of $20,000 from the accommodation tax reserve to be used for sponsorship of the 2023 Centennial Cup event.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments? Councillor Porter?
Your Worship, I just have a comment. I think it's well worth the investment. I'm looking forward to that 10-day event, or 10 or 11-day event. And I think the people that will be coming to the city of Portage will be surprised at how different it looks than the last time they were here. One being the bridge, and it just showcases our beautiful town, and it's well worth it. We're going to have a lot of people here, and hopefully we'll spend some money here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship. I certainly wanted to speak in favor of this as well. I mean, there's many events that do come to our community, and there's many requests for sponsorship, and I know the city's been a part of, I wouldn't say all of them, but most of them. Being involved personally in a number of these projects in the past, I feel what it brings to this city from a national perspective and a chance to showcase not only the teams that we have here, but the facilities, which we know are some of the best in Western Canada, whether it be our PRA Rotary Republic Park or Stride Place or a number of the other facilities. To give us a chance to be able to get on that national stage, I think is the reason I support this to this level and this amount, because it is higher than what we have normally done in the past. And I just think it really brings everything that we need to bring to get this city back on the national level. So thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. I as well am very happy to do this sponsorship. Just for some numbers, if we compared ourselves to the city of Estevan, who last hosted this event with the new format of the 10 teams, they considered it to have a $3 million financial impact on that city. So I think by us supporting the event, we're also supporting all of our businesses in our community, whether it's restaurants, whether it's accommodation, whether it's our mom pa shops, our grocery stores, because I'm sure those players like snacks. I think the one piece of this, also this sponsorship that I really like, is that we're the volunteer sponsors, and I think many of us around this table know that the volunteers in our community are what make it tick. So I think it's fitting for us to celebrate them in some way. So I'm excited for this event, and I know we'll all be there in some way or another. So congratulations to that committee on moving it forward. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, we're going to move to a new counselor. So new business. WPCF upgrading status, and it's for information only. It's Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols. And we also have Mr. Braden presenting.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd ask Kelly to come forward, Mr. Braden, and get himself set up there. And remind you, I probably don't have to, but please speak clearly into the microphone, and we'll get all your good thoughts. Thanks, Kelly.
I don't have to raise it, I don't think. Your Worship, councillors, esteemed administration, thanks for inviting me to give a short status report on the WPCF upgrading project. My name's Kelly Braden, and I'm the project manager. I know you have a brief report in front of you, and I don't really want to regurgitate that, so I'm just going to elaborate on main points. And I'm sure you've received briefings from Nathan in the past, and so I'm not going to go into the history too much, but I'll answer whatever questions you have. The WPCF upgrading will be the single largest infrastructure project that the city has undertaken. The net capital construction cost to the city utility after the federal and provincial grants is estimated to be over $100 million. The engineering lead on the project, which is AECOM, is currently preparing a revised construction cost estimate and operating cost estimate. This massive investment in infrastructure represents a significant financial risk to the city and the utility customers. The city needs cost certainty, and the city needs to ensure it has the revenue it needs to make payments on the finance capital construction cost and the operating costs. Much of that revenue will come from the participating industries. As you know, the city will be partnering with a private consortium to construct and operate a facility for 30 years. The three proponents who will be bidding on the project also need certainty that the city will be able to make the contract payments over the 30 years. Three industries, McCain, Nutropy, and Roquette, also want cost certainty. They've also stated that one significant concern for them is that they are unable to make a long-term commitment to pay for a facility that they do not own. Administration is continuing to draft revised industrial service agreements with each industry with the intent of including a level of financial security to be provided on behalf of the city utility. The province has indicated that they will participate in the negotiations, but they have yet to appoint someone. Also, due to the significant financial risk that the project represents to the city, the province has been asked to provide a backstop for the project in the event that the utility loses a significant revenue stream. But as you know, so far the province has denied this request. The public-private partnership process is also new to the Public Utilities Board. So administration is preparing a proposal which outlines the anticipated utility rate setting process for the project. This process will include a public consultation component. Timing and certainty of utility rate approvals is very important in the P3 procurement process. Another part of the project, the Utility Administration Building located on 5th Avenue Northwest, achieved substantial completion on December 22nd. Approximately 50% of that building is being funded under the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program as part of the WPCF upgrading project. The contractor has several deficiencies to address and some seasonal work to do, so final completion is expected in early summer. In summary, if the financial risks are not mitigated at the outset of the project, it is highly unlikely that the WPCF upgrading project would be implemented successfully. The intent is to release the request for proposal for the P3 contract, hopefully in the fall. Once the industrial wastewater loading is determined and the industrial service agreements are signed, 2, a payment guarantee or project backstop is provided by the province, and 3, the Public Utilities Board approves the city's rate setting process. And I'm open to questions.
Thank you. Does anybody have questions for Mr. Braden? Thanks for all the info, Kelly, and Mr. Braden. And I definitely understand that this is a 30-year project that we're looking at committing to and taking maybe a lot longer than we had anticipated when we started. But I do know it's a risky project, so we're going to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed and that we're not putting our community and our ratepayers at risk by doing it. So thank you for all your hard work.
That's the goal.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And just comments from administration.
Just on behalf of administration, thank you, Kelly, for your thank you, Mr. Braden, for your presentation. I will also mention for council's information and for the public's information that this is one of our major projects on our website. So Saskatchewan Avenue is also a major project. The water pollution control facility is also, upgrading is also a major project. We put updates on the webpage so you can follow those major projects and see what's happening with it. So please follow those links, follow those pages, and it's the best way to get up to date on some very large infrastructure projects that we're working on for the betterment of this community. So just a little plug for our website, Your Worship.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, another item of new business, the 2022 Solid Waste Annual Report. Transportation Committee, Councillor Porter.
Thank you, Your Worship. For your information, this is the 2022 Solid Waste Annual Report. The city funds and operates several solid waste programs, including residential solid waste collection, curbside recycling, curbside yard waste collection, a compost site, tree burning site, hazardous household waste disposal, electronic waste disposal, and the clean team, sorry. Approximately 921,000 kilograms, or approximately 69 kilograms per person of residential recyclable waste material was diverted from the landfill. The curbside yard waste program saw approximately 15,000 bags of compostable yard waste being picked up in May and October, and this is down from approximately 16,000 bags, which is 97,000 kilograms in 2021. During the Christmas tree pickup program, a total of 185 Christmas trees, which is approximately 672 kilograms, were recycled, and approximately 192,000 kilograms of tree waste was taken to the burn site throughout the year. The Portage District Recycling, Inc. accepts all designated household hazardous waste and e-waste, and they will safely handle and manage responsibly. The total of all residential solid waste, including garbage, recyclables, yard waste, trees for 2022 was 5,100 tons, with 1,566 tons being diverted from the landfill. The diversion rate for the residential solid waste is 30.7%. And attached is a year-end diversion report for monthly. And I think it's important to note that the average residential recyclables versus total residential solid waste is 20.68%. And that's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on that? Thank you. We have one item of old business, a second and third reading of amending bylaw 22-8747, tax certificate fee. It's Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue here is to obtain approval for bylaw 22-8747, a bylaw to amend the fee for tax certificates set by bylaw 16-8654. As you well know, the Municipal Act states that the fee for tax certificates must be set by bylaw, and in 2017, the fee for tax certificates was set by the bylaw 16-8654 at $30. And again, after a competitive review of fees charged by other municipalities for this service, administration is recommending that the fee for tax certificates be increased to $35. And on January 23rd, we gave approval to first reading of the bylaw. So, Your Worship, I would move that bylaw number 22-8747, being a bylaw of the City of Portage la Prairie, to amend bylaw 16-8654 tax certificates to bylaw 22-8747 be given second reading.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. All those in favor? That's carried.
And Your Worship, I'd also move that bylaw number 22-8747 be given third and final reading, finally passed, signed, and sealed.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. We'll adjourn the meeting at 6:31 p.m. and we will move right into committee. We'll bring committee to order at 6:31 p.m. and we'll just start by saying today is Portage la Prairie, the City of Portage la Prairie's 116th birthday. We were incorporated in 1907 when the average life expectancy was 47 years old. So lots of us would not be here today in 1907.
What do you say?
Yeah. So we're pretty excited with all the things that have happened in the last decade in our city, especially that some of us have been involved in. If you get the chance, if you see on Portage Online, we had a lovely video posted that Mr. Kosterchik did on the history, some of the history of Portage la Prairie, which is fun to watch. So if you get the chance to do that. So happy birthday, Portage. We'll start with Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee has nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. City Planning and Economic Development Committee, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. City Planning Economic Development Committee has nothing to report in committee tonight.
Thank you. I had noticed that you're a little hard to hear there, Mr. Espy, so Community Services Committee, Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll try to speak up. The first item is a Heritage Committee presentation, and I see Mr. Kostychuk and Mr. Pierre are present. For Your Worship, I'd like to ask them to present.
Thank you. If you could do the usual stating your names for the record, that would be great.
I'm James Kostychuk from the Heritage Advisory Committee.
Aaron Pierre, Indigenous Seniors Resource Coordinator at PCRC.
Thank you.
Evening, Your Worship and Councillors. I'm just here to give a bit of an update on some of the heritage matters. Of course, we have a quarterly report that you've read, but I just wanted to talk about something that we've been brainstorming. The first part of it is sort of the thing that I'm, I guess, most responsible for, and that'll be to replace the signs on the crescent that are quite tired. And the good news is, in the 15 years since we sort of did them, the technology's changed. So the new signs will be cheaper, and they'll also be easy to replace if they're damaged. So that's the good news. Now, when we were planning to do that, then that led us into discussion. And one of the things I said that is great about Portage la Prairie is because we're a little bit smaller, we can be nimble. So I went over to talk to Aaron and Lorna. Lorna can't be here tonight, of course. She's busy with Winterfest. And Aaron might seem a little tired because he's been living in a teepee for yesterday and, of course, most of this week. But the idea that we came up with is that what we would like to do is to have kind of a coherent citywide heritage plan for signage. And so we've had some preliminary brainstorming sessions with representatives from the residential or National Residential School Museum as well as with the Fort Loraine Museum. And our idea is that whether you enter the city from the east or the west, that you could be immersed in a little bit of history of the Indigenous peoples of this municipality. And then our idea would be to lure you onto the island and perhaps get you to engage with some of the other activities that we have here or go to some restaurants. And so Aaron is going to just give you some ideas of what those signs might look like.
Am I coming through clear?
We just,
Just a little better? Oh,
that'll be
oh
good.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll lean into it. There we go. Yeah, so James asked me for some input on the heritage signs, and this quote had stuck with me from previous life experiences, and when he told me what he wants to do and update, then one of the first things that I had said was, can we make them circular? And James had said that was a kind of a light bulb moment for him. He had never would have thought of that. But this quote is something that had stuck with me from my days working at Agassiz. But to summarize it, it says that everything an Indian does is in a circle. To modernize it, an Indigenous person would do is in a circle. And just that, so the first picture that we have on here is, it has the 4 directions, but there's other signs in the PowerPoint that they talk about the 4 seasons. There's different stages of life, the 4 colors, 4 sacred medicines, and just how they work in a circle with each other. And this poster didn't have anything for me to kind of say who made it. The poster had no logos or anything, so I can't quote where these came from, but it was sitting in our office, and this is kind of the idea for what we want on the posters. They'll be circular, they'll have a blurb of a particular subject and how it relates to Portage la Prairie and the region. But some things are the 4 elements, 4 seasons, and then yeah, they have a little blurb on them. And then at the last couple slides, I believe we put different topics that that might be. Oh, sorry, yes, right here. So the totem pole signs. I couldn't really find something that's in my mind. There's nothing on Google that could represent it, but it would be a round sign that would have an enlarged map of the crescent, and it would have dots highlighting the 20 or so signs that we would be putting in, and directions to Fort La Reine Museum, directions to Nursum, and directions to the Welcome Path, which is another project. Partner logos, it would there'd be room for the Black Elk quote, and a land acknowledgement, and then welcoming people to the path in different languages. And then if we go to the last slide, these are some potential ideas that we would have, one idea per sign, and then it would be those examples, we would expand on them. Hopefully working with either students or local artists to get our ideas represented into our signs.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? I for one love the idea, and I love the vibrancy of some of the stuff with the color. I think we have some great things happening in our city, and this ties into some of our tourism opportunities. And with the National Residential Museum, I think we're just going to see that grow, and we're going to see lots of visitors coming. And so having sort of wayfinders and information between one point to maybe the other of our Fort La Reine Museum will be exciting. So well done.
Thank you. And we'll keep you posted as we go along.
Awesome. Thank you. Councillor Espy?
The next item I have is just something that's coming up at the next council meeting, which is the appointment of a municipal noxious weeds inspector and sub-inspectors. This is something we do periodically and will be coming up at the next meeting. And I have one more thing. I would like to invite Mary Lawrence, the Executive Director of the PCRC, to speak of the events of the day and what's coming up throughout the week.
So as you know, it's Winterfest week. So yesterday we had a huge event at La Vérendrye School. We saw over 1,000 people come out, and they spent an average of an hour and a half there to celebrate with us. We had the cultural tea to celebrate the city of Portage la Prairie's birthday this evening from 4 to 6. Tomorrow we were going to do a free skate on the Crescent, but due to the warm weather, we have had to cancel that. So instead, we will be doing a contest. So if you submit a photo of you doing an outdoor event, we will have a gift card that we'll be giving out. And you have until February 19th to do that. Wednesday night, the Family Resource Center is doing a free family bingo. And Thursday, the movie theater has partnered to do a free movie. So we did give out passes for that. And Lorna Knight has done a wonderful job in growing Winterfest this year to a full week instead of one day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Perfect. Just a comment on that. I visited the day yesterday at La Vérendrye School, and it was packed with people, and we all went to our birthday party today. The biggest thing I noticed about Winterfest is just the amount of organizations that are involved in it. I can say by working in the nonprofit world and volunteering for a long time, to see when you have that many organizations working together, it wouldn't have been something you might have seen 20 years ago. But we sure do in our community. So congratulations to PCRC, Portage Learning and Literacy, Family Resource Center, the library, PLIP, I think's involved, Community Building Youth Futures, Roquette as a sponsor, and the movie theater, to name hopefully everyone. So thank you.
Good job.
Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Waterworks Committee has nothing to report in committee this evening.
Thank you. Transportation Committee, Councillor Porter.
Thank you, Your Worship. Transportation has nothing to report.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Public Safety Committee has nothing to report in committee this evening.
Thank you. We'll adjourn committee at 6:43 p.m. Thank you for coming out.